Yeah. All right, very good. Let's bring our on-site correspondent to the show. Efi, welcome to the program.
Hey, what's up, Wade? Long time listener, first time caller.
Well, thank you for calling, and thanks for taking time to talk to us after attending Raw tonight.
Oh, of course. Thank you for having me on.
Absolutely. So let's just get a sense of the overall vibe in the building. Did it feel like a hot show from start to finish and a hot product and the wrestlers were over? Was there an ebb and flow? Did it feel, I don't know how many WWE shows you've attended, but how did it compare if you have attended other ones to those?
Yeah, I think it's probably on like the upwards, maybe like 100 shows. I went to like 6-7 meetings in a row from like New York 30 to like maybe like WrestleMania 36. So I've been to a whole bunch of different shows, like all the weekends, everything. So I'm pretty familiar with all the shows. I'm pretty familiar with all your questions too, so I'm gonna have them already in my head already.
Awesome.
Yeah. So it was pretty good for the first hour. I felt like it was pretty jam packed. I think the crowd was even shocked too. I'm pretty up on the dirt sheets and stuff like that, and I didn't know Edge was coming, so I think that was a big shock for even like the casual fans there. So that was definitely a big surprise hearing Edge's music to start the show. And just to wrap back to what you guys were just saying about Bianca, that's when I called in. I heard that, and I definitely agree with you guys. I'm a 30-year-old, Latino male. I'm calling in, so I came with my two friends, and they are they're martyrs as well. And I think we agree. We're saying the same thing. We're like, they're fans, and I'm a fan of Bianca, but we were all talking about how we felt it just kind of plateaued. Like that was probably one of the least biggest pops of the night was Bianca came in. I just felt like she definitely should be having bigger pops at this point in her career. And I think it's like my friends, when we watch it, we kind of just we root for her because we want her to do good. But it's like we kind of feel like they are dropping the ball with Bianca as well.
Interesting. What kind of crowd?
I can keep going for you guys. I'm not sure if you have any input, but
yeah, what kind of crowd reaction did Bianca get compared to other top level baby faces on the show tonight?
Definitely on the lower end. It was the top pops of the night for sure has to be Edge, Cody, Brock. Brock was a huge one. Obviously, I don't think a lot of people were expecting to see Brock in there tonight. Kevin Owens got a huge one. Well, I think the top two have to be Brock, Cody, and the arena for sure. Edge, actually, those three were definitely the top. And Bianca, I would feel like she was kind of like a mid-carder, to be honest. Like, I don't think, hearing that pop, you wouldn't think that she's headlining the women's side of WrestleMania.
Thank you for listening to the Wade Keller Pro Wrestling Post Show. Don't forget, we have regular podcasts throughout the week on our other feed, the Wade Keller Pro Wrestling Podcast feed. It's our blue logo show, and it's free. Just search Wade Keller in your podcast app and click subscribe. And you can get our main flagships, our mailbags, our interviews, our pay-per-view preview shows, and some fascinating flashback episodes throughout the week. Just search Wade Keller in your podcast app and be sure you're subscribing to the blue logo show in addition to this, the red logo show. Yeah, so Efi knows what questions we're going to ask. It's just a matter of in what order, Tom. Why don't you throw a question his way and see if you can surprise him. We'll try to keep him on his toes.
Well, I already mentioned earlier one that I want to ask, so I'll swerve and go a different direction. You mentioned that KO got one of the bigger pops of the night. When he came out, and maybe the camera was facing a different direction. Well, no, that they take the sound from the same mics anyway. Forget that. It basically, when he emerged from the entryway, it sounded like someone turned on a hairdryer, like one of the worst, like, oh wow, I thought KO was going to get a big pop, but that sounded super fake to me. And now you've disproven that because you were there and you heard the big pop. So I'm going to specifically ask about the other entrance that sounded that way to me with the Street Profits. I don't know if I imagine that by that point in the show, you knew that it was going to be an Angelo Dawkins singles match. But when the Profits came out, it sounded like the fakest crowd noise I'd ever heard them put on WWE TV. What kind of pop did they get?
It definitely wasn't the level of like the top stars as Cody and Brock and KO, but it was definitely a pop though. It wasn't. I wouldn't say it was fake noise and put it in. It was actually louder than Theory's, and I had something to say about that too. I think it was the first time I've been in an arena with Theory's new music. I like Theory. I'm definitely a Theory fan, but I think they need to change his music. It's just not like a pop, like a main star pop like theme song. It was just, I feel like it's not like a Roman or like I'm gonna Brock music hits. You know what's coming. Well, you guys, you know what's coming. It's just not, to me at least, it doesn't get that like huge pop sound. So actually, I think the Street Profits got a bigger pop than than Theory did actually.
Interesting. Well, I'm pleased to hear that actually, because
huge.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I'm pleased to hear that, just because I felt just having Theory get an enhancement match over honestly, like at this point, a lower card, what feels like a lower card babyface. It felt like a lame follow-up to the match announcement and the Cena segment last week to me. So at least it was a bit more effective in the arena. But now I will ask, what I guess is becoming my signature question: did you get there early enough to watch the main event matches? And if so, what did you think of the NXT talent?
I did not. I just got there like 5 minutes right before my friends were running late, and they had a ticket, so I couldn't get in.
Well, let me tell you that if you had gotten there early, you would have just loved Dante Chen and Trick Williams.
Yeah, one's pretty local, right? One's from Boston.
Oh, well, it must be Trick then, because since Chen's from Singapore. So yeah, I didn't know that about Trick. Cool.
Oh, I don't know. I could be wrong, but yeah, I know one of the questions that Wade like that is the capacity of like the center that we're at. It's 14,000 apparently. I would say that it was pretty full. The only thing that wasn't full was where the hard cam is. There was probably like 4 or 5 rows that was actually filled, and the rest was like blocked out. I'm not sure they're going to sell them. I've been to a lot of shows, and they usually don't have that many rows blocked out for the hard cam. So I'm not sure if they're just going to sell them. But I checked tickets right before, like 5 minutes before the show, and there was like 2 sections left with seats left. So it was pretty sold out show. It was just that little section right there.
You talked about the best reactions of the night. What was a low point of the show in terms of crowd interest? My reading from watching on television was that the crowd died off a bit for Corbin Seth Rollins. And maybe Austin Theory, Angelo Dawkins. But yeah, what stood out as maybe a low point in terms of crowd heat?
Oh, it was for sure the Elias and
Bronson Reed.
Who Elias fought? Bronson Reed for sure. That was the bathroom break, and it was. I waited like 2 minutes. I went. The corridors were slammed. Like the bathroom line was huge. The food line was huge. That was for sure the unofficial break of intermission of the show. 100%. I say
people sure do love to walk with Elias. It's just a matter of which direction.
Yeah, definitely not the right direction they're looking for nowadays. But I think they got the ball on him. I mean, I wouldn't say that's necessarily his fault, but yeah, definitely was the intermission break of the night. Seth and Corbin. Yeah, Corbin didn't get a huge pop at all, really. I feel like people weren't really into him, at least in Providence. And Seth got a huge reaction, though. There was a lot of Seth signs. I know you looked at Seth signs and Seth T-shirts. So Seth, I know you asked this too. So I've seen a lot of Seth shirts, Cody WrestleMania shirts, like the American Nightmare one, a lot of We the One shirts, and those have to be the top 3 for sure. The We the Ones, Seth and Cody, and a lot of Seth signs. So I think a lot of people were into Seth, just not that particular match. So those have to be the 2. And I feel like a lot of people were definitely confused at the end of the Bianca match, where Bianca and Asuka just stared at each other. And I was like, wait, what's happening here?
Yeah, we got some emails on that, too. That was
very
weird.
awkward. I'm not sure how that's translated. Yeah, I'm not sure how that's translated on TV, but it was super weird in person.
It was weird to watch on TV. The build to Bianca Asuka is somewhat perplexing. And, I mean, in the when Asuka came out, did you sense a buzz in the crowd, like, oh, this is a moment, or not? Like, because I don't know that they've done a particularly specific job giving fans reason to be for or against Asuka's quest to become champion. And they've changed her character, but for her to just start like leaking blue slime out of her mouth and then start laughing maniacally. It just sort of seemed to die out there as a segment. And then they announced, oh, Bianca and Asuka are going to team next week against Chelsea and Carmella. It's like, well, why would they want a team? Don't they have some agency in this? Do they have to team with each other? Asuka was taunting Bianca with the belt, and it just, the whole thing just feels awkward to me. So yeah, just in terms of crowd reaction and also your thoughts on that.
There was I would say zero, but there was definitely probably not the pop they were expecting when Asuka came out. I feel like no one really, the energy in the arena, at least, that wasn't a big time feel in the arena at all. Kind of just like you would think about the average fan that it was like a mid card show where a mid card I'm blanking the term right now, like mid card match for WrestleMania. You would think it would be if you weren't a hardcore fan. I think hardcore fans know what's going on, but definitely doesn't have that big time feel in the arena at least. And I actually sent to you an email. I'm not sure if you read it or not yet, but I was just asking you because I thought that segment was so weird in person.
Yeah.
And then I was thinking, I don't understand the Asuka fascination. I know everything's not for everybody, and they target certain people with certain characters, obviously. But for me, at least, I just don't understand the Asuka fascination. I never seen her previously before WWE, so at least for me, as watching, I don't understand what's so good about Asuka. Even with Nakamura, I get why people like him. I'm not the biggest Nakamura fan, but I get it. I see why people would like him. I don't see why anybody would like Asuka, to be completely honest. And can you guys change my thought on that process? I don't understand it at all.
Yeah, Tom, talk about her journey also, in particular through NXT and what is special about her. Because, I guess she stands out more in a weaker version of the women's division than a strong women's division because her top asset was just her work, her work rate, her athletic ability, her ring acumen. But, as a character, it seems like they've been a little unsure how to frame and market her. But talk about her journey through NXT and why you think she is special if you do.
Yeah, it's interesting that you mentioned that because her dominant reign that ended up surpassing Goldberg's reign on NXT, or streak on NXT, was during one of the relatively weaker phases of that division. Plenty of good personalities, but the work rate wise, Asuka was pretty much carrying the division at that point. Other people would be able to speak to her days in Japan as Kana. I've gone back and watched some of those matches online because she has made me enough of a fan that I wanted to do that. But it's just cherry picking, Google results at that point for me. I haven't seen anything that I didn't like, for whatever that's worth. But it really was that incredible NXT presentation. She came in extremely strong. They gave her, if I remember correctly, and we have not gotten to this point 8 years back yet, they gave her the exact same introduction as they gave to Kenta when he came in as Hideo Itami. They introduced him as Kenta. The phrase they used was international superstar, and they kept saying that over and over again. But from Japan, and he was introduced with Kenta on the screen, but then Kenta melts away, and he explains that he's now going to be known as Hideo Itami. And I seem to recall the same thing happening for her. But I don't know. I guess that's an extra detail that I waste my breath on, because the point is she was just incredible in the ring. Absolutely incredible. And it'll be interesting to revisit when we get to that point in our retrospective on VIP. I don't recall them doing too much character-wise. I remember it just being purely based on, she is just unbeatable, except, and I've heard people argue against this, but in my opinion, she always made you wonder at the takeovers, she felt beatable. So her matches were still engaging. It wasn't like, oh, we know Asuka's just going to win. And again, I've heard people testify that they felt that way. But I was always engaged. She was able to tell stories and show people, like she had a match against Nia Jax, and she made Nia feel like a threat. She had a match against Eva Marie, and I remember being worried that she was going to lose to Eva Marie, and this ongoing undefeated streak where she became champion was going to end. So I was very engaged with that, and they carried that over to the main roster. Asuka, I think the video packages introducing her were excellent, and she was one of the easiest picks to win a Royal Rumble ever. The year that she won, the first year that the women ever had their own Royal Rumble. And since then, it has been very hit and miss and much more based on her character. And at that point, it does become more subjective for me because I'm already rooted in, I already have this base of reasons that I just explained as to why I like her. And now, I'm just predisposed to enjoying her, and I'm enough of a fan that I've gone beyond the WWE product and watched her YouTube channel and followed her social media. And I just think her personality is great on top of everything else. Like, she's, I believe, do I have this? I'm going to bungle the nationality on. I believe I know what nationality Meiko Satomura is. Even just the name should give it away, but I'll shy away from saying it because I'm lacking the confidence in my thought process here. But like Meiko Satomura, she's incredible in the ring, absolutely incredible. I don't really know much about her personality. She seems great, but I do just rely on the work there. With Asuka, it has gone beyond that for me. But that is where it becomes more subjective. Although, unfortunately, we reach points like we've reached now. She's reintroduced herself. She's got the Kana haircut back. She's changed the makeup. She's focusing more on, she's got a whole remixed thing going on. It's essentially the same, but it's fresh now. And she doesn't have a story. And we're just relying on the personality that's supposed to come across when she comes down to the ring. And they've so transparently just done like, okay, Bianca's going to wrestle Carmella. And then the next week she's going to wrestle Carmella's friend. And then the week after that, they're going to, team up to tag against them together. Like I honestly, I missed where they announced that was going to happen, but I was already thinking like, well, next week they'll probably have the tag match. And unfortunately, like Asuka's laughing. It didn't translate well live. It from what Efi's telling us, it didn't translate well on television. And Asuka didn't even get the effect from the capsule that she wanted to get. It didn't really it coated her teeth, but it didn't dribble out of her mouth the way that she wanted it to. So it really just fell flat when that's all that you are leaning back on with a talent who I don't know. It's a babyface versus babyface feud. I don't know why the match tonight. I mean, Chelsea was the one who got the spit in her face last week. Why wasn't tonight Asuka versus Chelsea? Chelsea is a terrible wrestler who is not being presented as anything other than an ineffectual wrestler, even though Corey Graves very disprovably says that she what was the direct quote? I wrote it down, but whatever. Corey was like, "Oh, she was very successful on NXT." It's like, if you watched NXT, that wasn't the case. But okay. Yeah. The match tonight went through a commercial break, and it went long enough with Chelsea kicking out of stuff that she shouldn't be kicking out of because they want to show off, like was the case with so many other matches tonight, with just people on the WrestleMania card being enhanced by people who are not. It was just showing off. Here are Bianca's moves. Here's what Bianca does. Here's Bianca Belair. There's the product. So why couldn't that have been Asuka this week? Not that it would have been too much better, but if all you're bringing to the table is what worked so well in NXT, look what great matches she has, then show that off a little bit.
Need an extra dose of positivity in your wrestling podcasts? Well, come join me, Alan Forel, over in the ProWrest Paradise at PWTorch VIP as we bask on the bright side of wrestling and focus on some of the great matches and shows from around the world, be it the US, Japan, Europe, or Mexico. There's always a place for wrestling's past in the Paradise too, and we've done fun historical shows such as the We Love Liger series, celebrating the glorious career of Jushin Thunder Liger, and our I Was There When shows, where a guest will join me to talk about a classic bout that they were in attendance for. We love variety, and you can expect lots of it at the ProWrest Paradise. Detailed PWTorch VIP subscription information and a list of all the VIP benefits is available at PWTorchVIPinfo.com. And yes, all VIP podcasts are compatible with popular podcast apps on iPhone and Android devices, or you can stream them directly from our ad-free VIP mobile site. See you in the paradise.
I want to shift, Effie, to the Cody promo. Cody got a great reaction, you said, coming out. Did that improve as a promo went on? Did he get the crowd fired up with that promo? I don't think it overstayed its welcome. I was a big fan of the Cody promo tonight, but I'm curious if it actually did go from a really good reaction to Cody to an even better reaction by the time he was done.
100%. Even during the match, there was a time, I'm not sure if you guys can tell on TV, or if they inputted noise, I'm not sure what they did, but there was definitely a point during the match where the crowd was kind of getting bored and kind of going to sleep. And then I remember he put LA Knight and wrestled, and he was pumping up the crowd. He definitely got the crowd back into it at that point. I think from that point on, he got the crowd into it. Then he won, and then he definitely got the crowd super into it with the promo. The crowd was definitely really engaged, and I think he definitely he turned the crowd from that little boring moment, I guess, to win the match where he lost everybody, and then he changed everybody around. Everybody's definitely 100% behind Cody. There was definitely I didn't hear no boos at all. But I will say, a lot of people were also with LA Knight. There was a lot of chants throughout the night, even before he came out. And I heard people even just walking by in the corridors doing the yeahs and saying they can't wait for LA Knight to come out and cut a promo, which he did not. But he's definitely getting a big reaction, within the crowd. But a lot of people love the Cody too. There's no type of heat within the arena at all for Cody.
You're saying there was no booing, no pushback at all for him?
No. There's no the Bautista stuff, nothing at all. I think the crowd's 100% behind Cody. There's no fight back for it, at least in Providence.
Yeah. What did you think of the promo?
A lot of Cody shirts, like I said earlier.
And what did you think of the promo?
I thought it was great. I think I think it was great. I wasn't the biggest Cody fan before he left WWE. Obviously, his circumstances, you didn't get a chance to do a lot of promos, but was the biggest fan. And to be honest, I didn't really follow him as much when he left on his indie run at AEW. But when I did hear him in AEW, he didn't captivate me, to be honest. I'm not sure what it was. I never really paid him much attention in AEW, but something when he's been back, he's definitely he captivates me, at least, with his storytelling, with his family, and getting over that hump to conquer Roman. I don't think he's gonna be Roman. I think I've heard this you guys say in podcasts a bunch of times. I think he's gonna get injured, kind of postpones it to SummerSlam. But I'm engaged right now. I'm definitely engaged. I love hearing him. And it's something where he's not saying it the same way every week. This week, he was so pumped up and energized. I was in the lower 100 section, so I can kind of see him flexing his muscles. I can see how intense he is while he was delivering that promo. And it definitely got me more engaged seeing how emotional and it seems like it really does mean a lot to him. And I watched a lot of Cody promos this outside WWE where he's going on Hot 97, Rosenberg, and stuff like that. And it generally seems like he wants to do it for his dad. So I kind of feel him. I'm riding that journey with him. So hopefully he conquers Roman. But I don't see it happening. But yeah, I'm all in with the Cody. And he's definitely turned me around. And from the AEW days where I feel like he is a true star now in WWE.
I also love the Heyman promo and the notion that they're trying to dictate to Cody that it's okay for you to be a contender. We'll accept that. We'll embrace that we want top contenders, and you are a top contender. But don't make it personal. Don't become a problem. That's a different category. It's like this ultimatum that they get to dictate how Cody approaches his attitude towards this match, the title, and Roman. And that's a heelish thing to do. It's a they're trying to control someone else, and it's not their business to control him. But it's also a genuine threat to Cody that raises the stakes, and it gives Cody something to not flinch at or back down from. So I like the psychology of that. And I was thinking I was wondering how they were going to fill TV time each week to keep the build interesting, so it wasn't just they're hitting the same notes 2 weeks before Mania that they were 5 weeks before Mania. And this idea that Cody has this really important choice next week where Heyman said it will be the most important business and personal decision of his life. He has to choose whether he's a challenger or a problem. And again, it's the heels defining it and giving an ultimatum to a babyface who now gets to react to that next week. I think that's compelling storytelling, and it adds a layer and a chapter to this that allows Cody's approach to this match and his interplay with Roman to evolve over time based on, again, Paul Heyman setting certain parameters that Cody does not need to agree to. But if he doesn't, he's warned there'll be ramifications.
Yeah, definitely, and just like the in-person aspect of that too. When Paul came on the screen, crowd lost it. They loved it. Like they were happy to see Heyman. So definitely, he definitely has the swagger on the screen for sure.
Yeah. Another question in terms of crowd investment was for Edge, and if he got a nice reaction coming out, did he, like Cody, earn more of a reaction as the promo went on? Did the crowd like his line that I thought was a little clunky? Getting into, your weird hybrid and Irish, Australian, Mexican, Puerto Rican emo delight, and it sounds like a drink at a hipster coffee joint. Like, Edge seems like somebody who would be ordering a drink at a hipster coffee joint, like not somebody who would be making fun of hipsters at a hipster coffee shop. Did that work with the crowd? Were they into it?
The crowd was definitely pulled back at that point. Even my friends were like, whoa, what? Like, they were shocked that he said it, because you don't usually hear that often. Like, that type of kind of edgy comment, no pun intended, it was like, wow, did he really just say that? So it was kind of worse when someone swears. It was weird. It was like, because you just don't hear that often nowadays. So I don't know if they were into it. They were definitely shocked. They caught people's attention, that's for sure. I think it was kind of depends on the person.
Yeah.
I thought it was kind of funny, but two of my friends I was with, they were definitely taken back. They laughed and chuckled. They were just like, damn, all right. I was not expecting that at all. So I think it was definitely an edgy caught people off guard comment for sure.
Yeah,
and a lot of people loved and obviously got where Balor was going with the demon comment. I don't think exact quote he said, but it definitely got the crowd really into it and all that. And two of my friends were with it. Oh snap, the demon's coming out. So it definitely intrigued people where they know where it's going for WrestleMania. It was definitely captivates. It makes me more intrigued too. Because this is like the 20th time they fought. I mean,
yeah,
it's kind of getting to that point where it's kind of annoying at this point, but it is cool. Right now, we all know the demon's going to come out in Mania, so I think people are more engaged.
Yeah, you had Hell in a Cell and the Demon, and that takes a match that felt stale and certainly frames it in a way that has a chance to feel novel. You can support us on Patreon and get these shows with ads and plugs removed. The Wade Keller Pro Wrestling Podcast, Wade Keller Pro Wrestling Post Shows, and the PWTorch Daily Cast throughout the week with ads and plugs removed, plus a few bonus VIP shows throughout the month for just $4.99 a month. Check it out, patreon.com/PWTorchVIP. That's patreon.com/PWTorchVIP. And you can also upgrade to other tiers and receive even more benefits through Patreon.
Searching for more great pro wrestling talk? Then join me, Jason Powell, host of the free weekly Pro Wrestling Boom podcast. Each week, you'll hear the latest news and analysis from me and my team at ProWrestling.net, along with other pro wrestling media members. Plus, the Pro Wrestling Boom podcast features long-form interviews with notable names in the pro wrestling industry. Subscribe in iTunes, Stitcher, Downcast, and all your favorite secondary apps, or visit us directly at pwboom.com. Once again, that's pwboom.com.
My last question for you, I think, and then I'll throw it to Tom for any follow-up or additional topics, is Dominik and Rey. The interplay there. Man, was a crowd on Dominic's case. That had to be fun to witness in person. Tell me about that, the ovation Rey got, and then just how alive did that arena get when Dominik came out, the unexpected breakout heel of the past handful of months.
Yeah, people loved when I forget about it, actually. Rey got a huge reaction. He got a humongous reaction. The entire arena, at least on my end, where I was standing, everybody stood up. So, definitely Rey has everyone's attention still. And when Dominic came out, it was pretty engaging. Like after I've heard a whole bunch of wrestling podcasts, and you guys always say, and obviously is known, a reaction is better than no reaction. And he was getting a reaction for sure. In the what chant, that's everything he said. And I thought he did a pretty good job of handling the what chant. He was speeding up his cadence, so he was kind of ignoring it. And then he was repeating on purpose, which I thought was pretty funny. Which it sounded like he kept repeating himself. I'm not sure if he did it on purpose or not, but it was funny. I thought it was a kind of to come back at it. And the crowd was loving to hate him for sure. So I mean, people can. I'm not the biggest fan of him, but I think he's handling it well. Where he's definitely developing as a heel, and I think he's kind of embracing at this role at this moment in time. And I'm just kind of intrigued. So I think he handled it well. I thought the presentation was good. The entire crowd was loving to hate him. Ray played his part well, but there's the countdown was on the arena today. It was 16 days to Mania, or like 17. How much longer are they gonna ride this out? When is Ray gonna accept the challenge? Like, when do you guys think that will happen? Is it Ray fully on Raw now? I don't. So there's one more Raw to come. Like, what's he gonna do? Like, Dominic kind of already did everything he possibly can. The Eddie comment, saying everything he possibly can to, to get Ray to say yes. So what is going to make Ray say yes? I don't know what's gonna happen next.
I don't know.
I don't see where they go with this.
I don't know, but I'm eager to see what it is that ultimately triggers Ray to agree to something. He's been steadfast in turning down, no matter how taunted and prodded he's been by his son. Tom, your thoughts or speculation on that?
Yeah, I actually thought pretty specifically about this, because if there was anything that was surprising to me about this, it's that, especially after they went out of their way to put a pause on the storyline, they've reminded us of it, and Dom certainly makes his mentions almost every time he opens his mouth. But now that Ray is back on Raw, it ended the same way it was ending before he left Raw. He just walks away hanging his head. And like you said, and like Efi said, Dom has now said everything he can say, and Ray is still walking away. So now Dom has to do something. What is that thing? And while earlier in the show I was saying, well, I hope they don't wait until the very last minute to unite Sammy and KO, maybe this is something where they do wait till the last minute. It's I believe the first time that anyone has been inducted into the Hall of Fame while they're still a fully active member of the roster. And of course, at first blush, it makes you wonder, like, oh, are they going to turn this into an angle? But the Hall of Fame ceremony, even though it's been diminished over the years, it still is extremely special. Triple H put it extremely well when he said, or no, Triple H said that somebody else told him this, but I forget who that person was. Maybe Michael Hayes or something like that. But he relayed that the two biggest moments in a WWE wrestler's career are winning the world title and getting inducted into the Hall of Fame. So I think there is still a huge level of respect for that. But Dominic kidnapping his sister Aaliyah, like, that's not enough. Aaliyah just shows up every once in a while, and they're like, hey, Ray's family is here, and we don't really care. So how about Ray gets his full, they don't mess with it, he gets his full Hall of Fame induction. Conan comes out there, he tees it up, the same way everybody does. He explains why his relationship with Rey Mysterio was so special over the years. Ray comes out, gives his whole speech. Then after that's done, after they've had the genuine Hall of Fame moment, and Conan has long since left after introducing Ray, then Dominic comes on the screen, and he has a bloodied Conan in his hands. And now they're at the last minute, literally after the go-home SmackDown has ended, we add another match to the card. That's the best thing I can think of, and it doesn't force Conan to do anything physical. Just give his speech and then go back and put some makeup on.
Tom, is there anything else you want to ask Efi before we let him go?
No, he covered the LA Knight thing. I don't know if there was anything more specific about the LA Knight pop. It's just that he's quite a story right now, that he's got a groundswell, and Corey referenced on television that he's one of the fastest rising stars in WWE, and I thought it was a bit of a risk to put that as the enhancement for Cody, since LA Knight is really picking up his fans right now. But yeah, I guess the only thing specific that we didn't cover was the exact pop that he got. But clearly, people were chanting his catchphrase in the concourse.
In 2012, NXT transitioned into the developmental system and ultimately the brand you see today. On the Torch VIP podcast, NXT 8 Years Back, we'll be taking a weekly look at this page in NXT's early history.
Join Kelly Wells and me, Tom Stoup, from PWTorch NXT every Saturday as we go 8 years back to the day to track NXT's rising talents and why they did or didn't work out, exclusively for PWTorch VIP members.
Efi, is there anything else you want to convey to us about the experience tonight? Any segments we didn't talk like about Kevin Owens and Solo Sikoa, for instance, or anything else? Yeah, just up to you.
Yeah, I'll give you guys a couple of talking points. So one, randomly, I didn't know that Johnny Gargano and Dexter Lumis had any like loyalty to Edge. So that confused me. Two of my friends were also confused as well. I'm not sure if I missed that in the build to that. Two, when Logan Paul came on screen, he got booed pretty good. And when they announced Roman coming next week, people were upset about that he wasn't in the arena today. So people were upset that Roman wasn't there. Also, it was very confusing how Brock was there for confusing, and I have to respect it that he comes to Providence for 2 minutes, does whatever he does, leaves, and probably is leaving back in Minnesota at this point of the night. So, I mean, shout out to him to being a legacy star to do that. That's crazy. Let's get that payday is wild, because that was I don't get the purpose of that. He was there for not even 2 minutes.
I would not be surprised if someday we learn, Effie, that Brock Lesnar's current contract is $1 million per minute. It would be the way to explain his short matches, his brief appearances. I could imagine the power play Lesnar poll just saying, I want to see if I can have only certain colored M&Ms just to make sure that, the event organizers are reading my demands. I'm going to be particular about something arbitrary, and they get, a kick out of it. I could imagine Lesnar's going, let's see if they'll take this deal, and let's say it's take it or leave it. I'm joking, and
they probably do it.
But it doesn't sound actually implausible based on how he's utilized either. Because you're right, it is just bop in and leave. And my God, what a way to earn a living. He's beyond earning a living now. What a way to get rich, filthy rich.
I'm jealous.
Yeah,
I'm jealous for sure.
Yeah,
I'm definitely jealous. And I'll leave you one last one, like I said earlier, on Spanish. And I am very shocked because how usually WWE does not capitalize on these type of things in the pop culture world. I'm a huge Bad Bunny fan, and it's crazy how much they have done it properly this time with a megastar that's currently a megastar. Two of my friends, I like to travel a lot, and we're saying, and they didn't know that Backlash is in Puerto Rico. They're like, wait, what? Oh, wow. And Bad Bunny's in host? We should go. I'm like, I'm going first if I'm down. But their second off is it's crazy how they're utilizing him, how he's such a megastar now, how he loves WWE. It always feels like WWE doesn't capitalize on those type of celebrities, and I think they're knocking out the park with Bad Bunny. They'll get him to do that, and I'm not sure what your thoughts are on Bad Bunny and how they utilize him, but one thing I think they could, one more person they can capitalize on is Damian Priest. I mean, I don't know how many tall, Hispanic, fluent, bilingual stars they have, and I think they could be, I wouldn't say they're dropping the ball on him, but I think they'd be utilizing better, how they're utilizing a Bad Bunny type of, star, especially bilingual, tall, has the presence. I like his swag, I like his fashion. So I think, I guess my last comment here would be, I think they should use Damian Priest more. And I'm not sure. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on Bad Bunny and how they utilize him as well.
Yeah, I mean, he's a bigger star now than he was when they first utilized him, and it is kind of a bummer for Damian Priest that he had that connection, that on-air relationship, and it didn't lead to Priest being a bigger star. I mean, Priest is being overshadowed in order, but mostly by Dominic and by Rhea and even by Finn Balor, who's great, but not a lot of there's a lot of wear on the tread in terms of his character and how he's been utilized, and the smiling Finn and the NXT back to NXT Finn, and it's like he is the fourth guy in terms of momentum. And granted, Todd Martin made this point once on the Fix podcast, the VIP show. People who tend to not be stars on the indie scene or wherever they go tend to not become stars anywhere else. Like something has kept him from breaking out, despite checking a lot of boxes that you just mentioned, Efi, and associating with Bad Bunny. There's something that just isn't quite latching on where they feel confident moving him up. But it does feel wrong. And I'm not saying that he should move up. I'm saying it feels wrong that he doesn't. And I think everyone's still trying to kind of figure out if there's something more to tap into to make that work. Tom, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I really liked his NXT stuff. I shied away from saying NXT run because there wasn't much of a run, but what he did do in NXT, I thought was really nuanced from a character standpoint, and it just hasn't clicked on the main roster. I still like Efi. I'm waiting for him to take the next step up. I think at this point we could hope for a Baron Corbin level ceiling, and I guess when I say that I mean like the best that we've seen of Baron Corbin, not exactly where he's at right now. But yeah, he's capable of more. It's just unfortunate that since the call up, there have been hiccups, like when he is put out there as a United States champion to give a promo, he didn't put his best foot forward. And when he is put in there to have a big flagship, whether or not it was the main event, I don't recall, but match with Edge, probably the main event. He also didn't have his best foot forward, unfortunately. Just when the spotlight shines, it hasn't been his day. But he's a talent that I've continued to believe in. And when they announced, I mean, it's just because of the nationality thing. But when they announced the Puerto Rico show, I thought, I hope Priest gets a singles match. Especially because he really has been sidelined in his own faction lately. Edge didn't even refer to him. Edge mentioned Dom and Rhea, and then the only semi-mention that Priest got was when he was referred to as Lurch from the Addams Family. So there's that. And yeah, you know what? The idea of Gargano and Lumis being aligned with Edge, I was wondering that when they ran out, because I was like, that's an odd person. Why? Yeah. I didn't expect Johnny to even be on the show after he made he's not returned to NXT, but he's showing up on NXT to build to a takeover or a premium match at Stand and Deliver. Same thing. People get too hung up on the takeover name. It's just a word. There's my hot take there. But I was really trying to force it in my mind. I was like, I remember when Edge interviewed Gargano on his podcast and called him Johnny Kick Him in the Ding Ding as a nickname. But what is this? And then Corey had to say, as they were fading to commercial, Corey shouts, "There's a scheduled match." So I guess you didn't get it in the arena, but that's the reason, that apparently the match had already been scheduled. So Gargano and Lumis were already in the chute waiting to come out, and yeah, there you go.
Yeah, that was confusing. Yeah. And I'm not sure. I saw emailed Wade this after the show went off air. They were gonna triple team KO again, but KO body slammed Solo through the table, and then he ran out and got away, and he had left the arena faster than like half the arena, because he literally ran by me into his car. He was out after the show. So,
oh wow!
Him and Hayes, I'm forgetting his first name, but blanking out his names. Freebird. I'm bringing out his first name.
Oh yeah, Michael P.S.
Michael Hayes and Kevin Owens ran right by me, so they were out after the show.
Wow.
And appreciate you, Wade and Tom.
Hey.
Have one plug. I have a podcast as well, EG Pod Thunder, on all social media, all podcast platforms. If you can subscribe, is appreciated. And I appreciate all the shows you guys do. I listen after every SmackDown and Raw. So I love all the work, and it was a great experience. So come by and do it again. It's greatly appreciated.
Effie, I appreciate it. I hope we hear from you again, even when you're not an on-site correspondent. I know you just did a sign-off, and it feels like we should end here, but I have one other thing I really want to ask you about, if you have a second.
Yeah,
and that is, you brought up Lesnar, and I want to get your take on the buzz or the vibe or the lack of in the building for Lesnar and Omos facing off. Because I think there's people who think nobody cares about this match. Everyone's offended by it. What a waste of Brock Lesnar. It's insulting. And then there's also the possibility that there is a part of the WWE audience that is okay with this slice of WWE, this intrigue of, as the announcers put it, and you didn't hear this, Effie, but can Lesnar solve Omos? Because Lesnar's dominated everybody else, but look, he's so big. So I'm just kind of curious, in the building, when those two entered the ring, was there sort of a whoa moment that felt genuine? Was it mocking? Did it sustain itself? Like, did you come away thinking more or less about this as a matchup for Lesnar at a WrestleMania?
I will say there was a couple kids behind me, and they were definitely like had like that reaction where it's like, wow, like look how big this dude is. And then, well, yeah, Lesnar came out after Omos, but still, when Lesnar was making his circle around the ring, everyone's like, wow, look how big Lesnar is. And then when Lesnar stepped in front of Omos, even my friend is pretty knowledgeable amongst, like, he's an athlete as well. He's like, God damn. He's like, Lesnar's big, and he looks tiny compared to Omos. So I think people definitely are engaged with how Brock is obviously so big, and he looks so tiny compared to Omos. And when Omos came out first, and obviously went to commercial, during the commercial break, everyone was screaming, we want Lesnar. So, I mean, they were into it. I'm not sure. I mean, he was scheduled on the website, but I'm not sure how many people checked it out. Honestly, I never do. That's like my first time I ever did go into a show, and I've been to, like I said, 1 million of them. So I knew Brock was coming, but I don't know how many people knew Brock was going to be there. But a lot of people were into, they were chanting his name, we want Lesnar that entire commercial break. So I'm not sure how long that is, maybe like 30 seconds, 45 seconds. The entire time, the crowd was anticipating Lesnar. So I'm not sure if that indicates people are into the match, but they're definitely were intrigued to see Lesnar at least face off against Omos in person in Providence at least. So it wasn't dead, that's for sure. It wasn't even close to the deadest segment of the night. I think that definitely belongs to Elias and Corbin. Oh, Elias and then Corbin as well. With just people were into him, but Elias, hand slide was him. Brock cannot even come close. I mean, people were definitely into it for sure. I wouldn't say they're into it as if like a Cody and Roman, but they're definitely intrigued.
Yeah. No, I'm glad we got your take on that. That's interesting. We'll continue to try to get a read on how actual WWE audiences are reacting to that, because I am not confident in whatever direction it would go. I could imagine people booing and catcalling or being silent, but I also didn't rule out the possibility there would be a sizable segment intrigued and into it because it is so novel and different. Certainly that's what WWE's banking on, even if it wasn't their primary dream choice for Lesnar. Cool. Effie,
I think it could have been better. It just went like maybe like a minute or two longer. I think it was just so short. It's like, whoa, that's all we got? Like I heard someone in the back of me, this guy was screaming all night, like catcalling all night. He was like, that's it? It's like, I actually agree with him this time around.
That's funny.
Like, that was short.
That's funny.
Yeah, that got catcalling all night. But yeah, it was super short. I think it could have benefited at least maybe like a minute longer, or at least Brock tried to throw the ref like he usually does. I mean, he didn't do anything. I'm not sure
or at least Jamie Noble.
Nervous or... Yeah, exactly. Let's just throw Jamie down the corridor or something. So it was definitely, I think it was so short where it was like, okay.
Hey, Effie, what was Michael Hayes wearing?
He was wearing a purple blazer, his hat, and I couldn't check out his jeans. I can't remember. I definitely remember his purple blazer with the feather hat. And Owens was wearing the same exact thing he was wearing in the ring. He waited.
I would have been
on and ignored everybody.
I would have been supremely disappointed with any other answer. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, the match from glass definitely is.
Awesome,
guys. I appreciate your time. I know you guys, keep going and doing what was my welcome. But I appreciate you guys, and if you guys can follow the podcast page, GG Pop Thunder. Thanks.
Hey, Effie, you keep saying your podcast so quickly. Say it slower in case people want to check it out.
EG Pod of Thunder. EG Pod of Thunder.
Got it.
It's on literally all social media, all podcast platforms. So it's my initials, EG Pod of Thunder, baby. Thank you.
Excellent.
Thank you, Wade, and thank you, Tom.
I'm all about plugs. They might as well be effective
All right,
if we're going to do it. Thanks, Effie. Appreciate it. Talk to you hopefully soon.
Thank you.
You bet.
Appreciate it.
You bet. We are not, if you want to be an on-site correspondent and plug something, you're welcome to. I mean, that for that kind of time and effort and contribution to the show. If you got a favorite charity or a band you want to promote, or a favorite TV show that you think doesn't get enough attention, that can be a thing. You can certainly bring it up, and if you have a podcast, obviously that's okay too.